Sarah had always believed she lived a charmed life. Her marriage to Tom had been nothing short of a fairy tale. They met in college, fell in love quickly, and were married just a few years later. They had 2 beautiful children, and to the outside world, everything seemed perfect. Sarah's mother, Carol, had always been there for them. A kind woman, she adored Tom as if he were her own son. Tom worked as a successful businessman, and Sarah was a stay-at-home mom, handling the household with grace and care. The couple had everything they could have dreamed of, until one night everything changed. It started small. Tom would work late more often than usual, and when he did come home, he seemed distant, almost as if his mind was elsewhere. Sarah didn't think much of it at first. He was a hard worker, after all. But then the small things began to add up. He became defensive when she asked about his day, and sometimes he would leave his phone unlocked, only to quickly grab it when it rang. Sarah, trusting her husband, brushed off her doubts. However, her intuition told her something was off. The one person Sarah trusted most in the world, her mother Carol, had always been there for her through thick and thin. Sarah didn't know it yet, but Carol was hiding something much darker than she could imagine. One rainy evening, Sarah decided to confront Tom about his recent behavior. She waited for him to return home, her heart pounding in her chest. She had no idea how to approach the subject, but she couldn't let the feeling of doubt linger any longer. As soon as Tom stepped through the door, Sarah could sense the tension. He wasn't alone. Her mother, Carol, was standing behind him. "Tom," Sarah started, her voice shaky, "I need to talk to you." Tom looked uncomfortable, and Carol shifted her weight nervously. "What's this about, honey?" Tom asked, trying to brush her off with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I've noticed you've been distant lately," Sarah said, trying to keep her voice steady. "And I've seen you texting at strange hours, acting strange around me. Is there something you want to tell me?" Tom hesitated for a moment, his eyes flickering toward Carol. She looked away, avoiding Sarah's gaze. The silence in the room grew heavier by the second. "I'm sorry, Sarah," Tom said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I've been seeing someone else." Sarah's world shattered. Her knees buckled, and she almost collapsed to the floor. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "I've been seeing your mother," Tom admitted, his words hanging in the air like poison. Sarah stood frozen, unable to process the weight of what Tom had just confessed. Her mind raced, and her vision blurred. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "You're lying. You're just trying to hurt me." But Tom's eyes were filled with guilt and regret, and Carol's face was a mixture of shame and fear. The truth was undeniable. They had been hiding this affair for months. Tom had become emotionally and physically involved with Sarah's mother in a way that no one could have predicted. The trust Sarah had in both of them was gone in an instant. Sarah wanted to scream, but no sound came out. She turned to Carol, her mother, her best friend, her confidant, and asked, "Why? Why would you do this to me?" Carol broke down, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry, Sarah. I don't know how it happened. It just did. We didn't mean for it to go this far. But the damage was done." Sarah could feel her heart breaking as she looked at her mother and her husband, the 2 people she trusted most in the world. They had betrayed her in the most unimaginable way. In the days that followed, Sarah found herself unable to leave the house. She refused to speak to her mother or Tom. The betrayal cut so deeply that it felt as if a part of her soul had been ripped away. She confided in friends, but most couldn't understand the depth of her pain. No one could. One friend, however, suggested Sarah take a break, go somewhere alone to clear her head. Reluctantly, Sarah agreed and left for a quiet cabin by the lake. It was there, surrounded by nature, that she began to piece together her life. The shock was still fresh, but Sarah was determined not to let this define her. After a week of soul-searching, she returned home. Tom was waiting for her, and Carol had gone back to her own house. They both apologized, but Sarah wasn't sure if forgiveness was even possible. How could she ever trust them again? A few weeks later, Sarah discovered something that would change everything. Tom had left behind his phone one night, and out of curiosity, she checked it. She found a series of texts between Carol and Tom that made her stomach turn. But there was one message that stood out: "I never meant to fall in love with you, but it's too late now. There's no turning back." And then, below that, a photo from the night of the confession, her mother and Tom together, holding hands, looking blissfully unaware of the wreckage they had caused. But there was more. Tom's phone contained a message from someone else, a name Sarah didn't recognize. She dug deeper and found that Carol's affair with Tom had not been a random fling. In fact, it was part of a series of hidden betrayals involving people from Tom's past, including a former business partner. Sarah felt sick as she realized that Tom had been using her mother to manipulate and control not only her but also others around him. It turned out that Carol had been aware of Tom's affairs with other women, but she had never realized he was using her to gain leverage in business deals. The affair wasn't about love, it was about control. The truth hit Sarah hard, but it gave her the clarity she needed to make a decision. She called her mother, and they spoke for the first time since the betrayal. "I can't forgive you," Sarah told Carol, her voice steady but cold. "But I won't let you control me anymore." Sarah filed for divorce, and her relationship with her mother was forever changed. It took time, but Sarah built a new life, one where she learned to trust herself again. The pain of betrayal would never fully go away, but she no longer allowed it to define her. What other way should have been best for Sarah to handle the situation? Share on the comment section.
Please subscribe, like, comment and share this video. It means a lot to us. Thank you.